What is going on, everyone? Lauren Sisler here, hanging out with Cole Cubelic. You can catch Cole on the radio in the morning with Greg McElroy, 7 to 10 a.m. on WJOX. He's also always hanging out on the sidelines, doing his thing with the SEC primetime game, typically. But we're going to talk Auburn today. Auburn, San Jose State, and we're going to look ahead to this Week 3 game against Penn State in another episode of Head to Head.
Oh, let's go now.
All right, we didn't get our shout out to our sponsors this season, the Alabama Cattlemen's Association, because beef is what's for dinner. We know Cole loves beef. I got beef with Cole. Beef with Cole. So let's talk Auburn. First of all, let's talk, before we get into the Penn State matchup, a few key takeaways. I was on the sidelines for that game. Rough start for the quarterbacks. They just couldn't seem to get anything going. And I think with the way TJ Finley and Robby Ashford handle things, I think that's kind of where you sort of lay the groundwork for this quarterback. Not controversy, I think just quarterback competition and sort of where they're at right now. TJ Finley is the guy, and it's very obvious why he's the guy. I think he just manages things a little better, understands this offense, and he doesn't get in his head. And the coaches had told me, they said, with Robby Ashford, a lot of the issue with him is when he makes mistakes, he can't get out of his own head and he can't compartmentalize, and it's hard for him to move on. And so I think that's something they're trying to develop with him, get him better. Second half, we saw a tale of two halves. I think the second half was a lot better from both of those quarterbacks. Totally different guys at that point.
I had a lot of people texting me during the game, Sunday after the game, protection's not good enough, O-line's letting them down, and I just thought to myself, I don't know what you people are watching, but the protection I thought was pretty damn good. I mean, TJ Finley was bailing on the protection way too early. Now, Robby Ashford, we expect that from. They're giving him a lot of one read and go. I expect that from him. I'm fine with that. TJ Finley's got to stay in the pocket. He's got to allow plays to develop, and he's got to give that offensive line a chance. And I know the last few years it hasn't been there, but this is a new group, and you have to give them a chance to protect and give you time to operate in that pocket. He flat out didn't do that Saturday. The interception from Robby, inexcusable. And I think you saw right there, that's why he's not the starting quarterback, and that's okay. He's come so far through spring and fall. He's growing. He's getting there. He's learning, and I think he's come further than the coaching staff ever imagined that he would, to be in a position where he's going to help Auburn win games and still play a lot. Like you said, Harson's told me, we're going to play two quarterbacks. I didn't feel great about the run game. This game obviously wasn't, let's see how many times Tank can go. Will be more of that mindset this week.
Absolutely. From the defensive side of the football, to me, the D-line probably grades out with the best performance of any position on the field for them.
You're right about the defensive line. The edge defenders, the middle of the defensive line did a good job getting a pass rush, penetrating, kind of forcing different plays off track. I thought those guys played phenomenal football.
So we flip to the Penn State offense versus this Auburn defense, and just obviously some of the things that kind of stand out to me. Sean Clifford's standout game last year against Auburn, but we're hearing that Drew Allar will likely see some snaps from him. So will that cause some confusion? What does that package look like? How will they defend it? I think that's a big key for me. And then they've got dudes in the running back position, Singleton being one of them. Nicholas Singleton, extremely explosive. He can pick up big gains.
I think the offensive line that plays the best and who can create the most explosive play is going to win this football game. Because the defenses are a little bit different. I think Penn State a little bit better on the back end. So it's going to be more difficult for Auburn to throw the ball and have success throwing the ball, which also allows Penn State to bring extra defenders to the box, which could make it more difficult to run the football. Can TJ Finley throw Penn State out of those looks? And then on the other side of it, Auburn defensively should be able to win with fewer in the box. I think they're a more physical front. I think they can have more success that way. But these young backs that Penn State brings to the table, they can turn a 5-yard gain into a 50-yard gain. They have that kind of ability, and even though they haven't done it in 15, 20 college games, they have that burst. They have that ability to turn easy, high-percentage plays into explosive plays. So screens, draws, things of that nature, got to be disciplined, stay in your rush lanes, have an understanding how to fit certain run plays, because you can't allow those guys to get loose. That's one big advantage I think Penn State has, is what they're going to be capable of doing on just handing the football off. And if Auburn's out of place, not keeping contained, not spilling runs, that's where you could see plays go for big chunks of yardage.
All right, so we get to our predictions, and of course I think some of the obvious, you got to eliminate the penalties, run the football, chunk plays. I think big gains are going to be huge in this one, as you mentioned. I want to get your thoughts as we get into our predictions. Derek Hall, let the cat out of the bag. You like what I did there? Cat out of the bag. The tiger out of the bag. So last year, whiteout, Penn State, crazy environment. So they're calling for the orange out, right? And so they're saying they're going to have the orange face masks on. Of course, I know that Owen Pappo was kind of saying, I wish we'd change up our jerseys, maybe go orange. That'll never happen at Auburn. What are your thoughts on the whole traditional, like, do you love it or hate it? Do you love the fact that they just stay traditional, or are you all about mixing it up every once in a while?
I thought what they did last year with the white face mask was really cool, especially in white uniforms. I think a tweak that is not monumental is okay, and I liked it. And now you've seen sort of that metallic orange face mask a few times too. I think that's pretty cool. I'll just start with this. I don't think any orange jerseys look good. Now, I'm not against changing some things, tweaking some things, and I do appreciate the fact that Auburn stays fairly traditional with their uniforms. Obviously, the road uniforms are so clean and so good looking, and I just don't think the home uniforms need to be messed with. If it happened, the one condition that I would want is for both teams to wear their home jerseys.
Oh,
I think that would be really cool. Like, you see the old pictures of Alabama, Tennessee wearing orange jerseys and crimson jerseys. Like, I think it's really cool.
Yeah.
And I would love to see, if Auburn went orange jerseys, for Penn State to still wear the navy blue jerseys. Although Penn State's whites are pretty clean too. It's a good look.
Okay, so let's not keep the fans waiting any longer. Prediction. I'm going to go first this week just because I can and I will, and you went first the first 2 weeks. I'm going to give Auburn this one 3 points. I know you always say, oh, you always trend in favor of Auburn. You always trend in favor of Auburn.
I've never said that on the show.
Yes, you have. I'm going 30-27.
Auburn. Hold on a second.
Is that high?
That's high. That's a lot of points.
I know. It's probably too high, but
Penn State a 3-point favorite right now. I look at both sides of the ball. I think Auburn's a more physical team on both sides. I think Auburn's deeper at tailback. I think they're more experienced just all around. Obviously not at quarterback. Sean Clifford has more snaps than both Auburn quarterbacks. Sean Clifford has a tendency at times to give the ball back.
Yeah.
Now, last year you mentioned he had a great game at home in that environment. This will be a very different environment. What I've seen from the Auburn crowds the first 2 weeks of the season against opponents that it's not real easy to get extremely excited for leads me to believe that at 2:30, Jordan-Hare Stadium is going to be off the rails. This orange out, I think, is going to be incredible. I think having CBS there is going to make it even feel bigger. And I think Penn State coming to town, the first Big Ten team to ever play a true road game at Auburn.
Crazy.
Now, Auburn played Ohio State for a home game in Montgomery, but this is the first time a Big Ten team has walked into Jordan-Hare Stadium. That alone should mean that the place should be absolutely rocking. And I've talked to multiple former players of other teams, like Trevor Knight's told me this, McElroy's told me this, that is the most difficult place that they played. I think Saturday, this will be the most difficult place that any of those Penn State players have ever played, and that includes any venue in the Big Ten. I think defense wins this game. I think Auburn turns it over. I think they go extremely vanilla on offense, heavy dose of Tank, Jarquez Hunter. I think you'll see more Robby Ashford, but just to run the football and force Penn State to defend it. The quarterbacks who make the fewest mistakes, the O-line that plays the best, and the team that generates more explosive plays is going to win it. And I think home field advantage is massive. I think Auburn 17-14 gets this win. I don't think there's a lot of points in this game. I wouldn't be surprised if it's lower than that, 14-10. Maybe even 10-7, something like that. I think this will be a low-score game because I think both teams want to try to make life easy on their quarterbacks.
Good point.
Clifford in this environment, and then Finley Ashford because of some of the mistakes that they've made earlier this year.
I like it.
Brought to you by Alabama Beef Farmers and Ranchers.